This is FIBA Podcast. Thank you for joining us in our morning daily devotion.
God enabled David's mouth. This is a young, handsome, ruddy boy, somewhere between his 15 to 19, going to the king over kingdom. Let me just make this in contemporary terms to know what is happening there. Can you walk into the most powerful person of the state, go to a stable and tell him something as easily as you can? Forget you. Ask your teenager young man in the house to do that. 18, 19 years. Tell him to go to the highest person in the state and tell him to tell king, this is what I want you to do. I have advice for you. Is that possible? Absolutely not. But listen to what God is doing. What God ordains David's mouth to speak. This is righteous courage. That's called veracity. The ability and the courage to speak the truth boldly. 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 31. Now when the words which David spoke were heard, they reported them to King Saul, and he sent word for him. So here is David in the palace, in the king's court, in front of the king. Then David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight this Philistine. When was the last time a teenager walked into the highest of the state and told, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. To speak righteous, courageous words and to stand up for it. The audacity to present the truth in the midst of dark fear situations. That's righteous courage. That's veracity. Here's the next one. God enabled David's hands to do something that has never been done before. If you want to kill this giant, either you have to be as big as his size, or you have to gather up so many people to bring down that big size. Right? But God uses David's hands. That's victory. That's victory. In 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 40. Then he took his staff in his hands and he chose for himself 5 smooth stones from the brook and put them in the shepherd's bag in a pouch which he had. And his sling was in his hand. And he drew near to the Philistine. This time the battle story changes. Every time the Philistine came down for 40 days and 40 nights and he instilled Israelites with fear and with shame, they ran back. Now the story is on the other side. David draws near to the Philistine. And what does he have? Weapons to fight? A sling and stones. Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? God is writing a story where your battle weapons are not mandatory for him. Your wisdom, your whatever exclusive planning is not mandatory for him at all. He wants to tell you and me, his children, that, hey boss, hey Paul, I am the real power. With me, you will experience real power. I can use a stone. I don't even need a stone. I can use bread. I can use fish. I can use water. I can use a rock. I can use anything in this world. Just to teach that lesson that the true power on the throne of God is God himself. And it was important for David to know that in victory. So David was asked, or at least David had this idea, that God was enough in the grazing field for me. So the tools that God equipped me at the grazing field is more than enough for me. What are stones and a sling for a shepherd boy? It is just his normal tools for daily shepherding, where he will use those stones and slings to ward away small animals. God used that to defeat a big giant. God is interested in using what he has given to you and to me in our hands already. Already. We don't need to go search for the best weapon to do. This victory is an act of obedience to God. Not based on the external weapons and the armory and all of that. That's what Philistine needs. In those first 7 verses, that's what the giant needs. Armory, thing, and all this big size. But God is bigger than all of that. If he chooses to be on your side, you're simply majority. Or let me say this way. When you are on his side, we are majority. God calls you in the battlefield to develop a vision for seeing what He ordains for you. What He ordains for you. He'll be glad to listen to your ideas. Share with Him. But don't restrict yourself to tell God, saying, God, I need a spear if I want to defeat them. Ask Him. I want to see your power. I want to see your vision. I want to be victorious. Teach me to be veracious. God develops character in the grazing field. God develops a vision for leadership in the battlefield.
Dear listener, we are here to stand with you in your time of need. We want to pray with you and for your prayer request. Do you need someone to talk to? We are here for you. Call us or send a message at +91 636 425 2164. +91 636 425 2164. God bless you.